this last weekend. And I think he's probably one of the top guys when it comes to women. So when y'all get together,
Yeah, so I had him actually at the time that year, 2022, when I placed for second in three categories. I was just, kind of looking for change, and I reached out to him, and I think actually it was after I had done the Masters Nationals in 2023, and I felt like I didn't come in that good, and um, I just wasn't. I felt like I was holding water, and so I just, at that point, I reached out to him. I had been thinking about it in the past, and so he actually, between Masters Nationals and North Americans, which is like what, I know, 5 weeks or something like that.
yeah, about a month
Uh,
apart.
so he did that time with me as far as prep, and it was unbelievable. I mean, I made so many changes just in that short amount of time, and was able to get my pro card. So I was like, stoked that he worked with me and made these adjustments, and could do that in 5 weeks. I think he called it emergency prep. So but yeah, it was great. And I think
So,
you had mentioned or asked a question about like judges feedback, and I think you know like the rear delts are they're so hard. Like that's one of the biggest things that I've tried to improve. But those little suckers are just, they're really hard to target, and genetically, like you said, certain things might grow for some people, but I have just like struggled to no end with those little guys. So
yeah, the
um,
back he can't seem as good. You got like what's that?
yeah, yeah,
Because like
you never turn around, just walk forward.
yeah, because I know one thing. Somebody told me that the worst. I think somebody says the back is the one that takes them because it's really it can make or break how you do with shows. The tie-ins, the glutes, the quads, everything can look good, but you have to make sure that everything's just right, especially when the judges look at you, because they're the ones
Yeah.
who tell you how you're going to do. The feedback
Hmm.
is kind of important, but some competitors say, no, they don't take it because they know what the problem is. But it's good to have that other eye to see something that you don't see.
Yeah.
And like when you're training, what's that training? What was that exercise to say? I love it. It's my favorite one of the day. And the other one says, damn, I got to do that shit.
Well, it's funny because like when I was doing NPC shows, like regionally, I a lot of oftentimes see, you probably know Jose Raymond, and he would recognize me and he'd say, "Oh, there's the lady with the quads," and I'm like, I don't want to be the lady with the quads. I want to be like, overall package. I want to be, like the woman with the great physique. So I love training legs. What can I say? I mean, I've had to really adjust how I train them, and just, rip them up and really high volume. But just, genetically, I mean, Eastern European, and we just have strong legs. So that's something, I guess, you always like to train what responds. And so, that's something I still look forward to. And um, I would say just, like chest, and I don't know, I don't think that is as exciting to me to have to come in and do like chest and, you know, triceps, something like that. Um, it's just like those leg days are so killer because you're like, I feel this, and this is amazing.
I know often leg day, anybody who tell me they like leg day, I tell them you're a mutant, you're a freak. Who likes leg day? Leg day is like I keep saying it's my favorite episode of Chappelle's show, where Eddie Murphy talks about the time he met Rick James, and then they later go back to
I
his
saw
brother
that.
Teddy's house. And Rick does the F your couch, Eddie Murphy, F your couch, and he beating his legs. And it's like, what are the legs? Darkest, you dark. That's for a bodybuilder. That's like that. You get your legs beat by calling Eddie Murphy. But, especially say you're Eastern European. I know a lady I interviewed a while back. She's Bulgarian. and she turned pro that year, and she said that that's her favorite thing. She loves doing the Bulgarian split squats. If you know what that is, that is, she was doing with another competitor who was a Puerto Rican wellness competitor. It was her, the Bulgarian and the Puerto Rican doing split squats. But yeah, I think everybody got to work on their strengths, but also work on their weaknesses, because those are things that when you come to a show, you want to make improvements. You really want to, bring a certain level so you can be the best. Like I said, your last show, you came second a couple of divisions. You worked with Shelby. He got you your pro card, and I know it was that feeling. Ladies who have told me that it's that feeling when you get that pro card when they announce your name and all that time, that work you put in it. What was that for you when they say you're not IFBB Pro?
Yeah, I mean, it was, phenomenal because, you really don't know. I mean, during the prejudging and, you're kind of move around like in the center, but then you're one away or you're one on either side. And, so you really not to get your hopes up. So, I mean, I just, I never am a person that says, oh, I've got it, or, people say I've got it, or anything like that. It's just at the end of the day, you don't know what, the results are going to be. So, when you're on the side and they're saying fifth place, fourth place, and then it's getting, whittled down, your group on your side, third place, and then it's you and the other person, and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know, wait, bring it in because it's you or her. And you don't know. So when they call the other person, second place, and it's just like, like you said, it's just all of that work and all of that effort and, the commitment. And, I mean, I've done this for, many years. And so I didn't take it lightly. I mean, it was very meaningful that, I was finally the one, it was, yeah, incredible. And then it's just kind of like surreal. Like, you know, you don't, is this really happening? And, like with that interview, and it was kind of like looking back, it was like, wow, I don't, it's like I don't really remember a lot of pieces of that. And that guy's really big, by the way. I felt like a little shrimp. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's just, like all that time, work, energy, and it's, statistically, like, how small is that? The people that, go on. Like I said to my son, he was a big soccer player, wanted to do the D1. And, realistically, how many of those players go on to become pro? It's very small. So, I mean, that's, you know, what really kind of resonated with me was that, like, to achieve that, it's like, unbelievable. Like, if you know what it's all about. Um, so yeah, and it doesn't matter how old you are, you know, um, just keep going for it.
yeah. Because I know a guy, he's a friend of mine. He's IB Pro. He played in the NFL for several years, and yeah, it's hard. My brother, he played football here in our hometown. He went to a college, but then he just got homesick, country boy. He wanted to come back here. Not everybody can make it, and that is experience for just that opportunity when they say, "Hey, you're not IB Pro." And it's just, it used to be it was like harder to become a pro now, but it seems like there are a lot more qualifiers. And now you got masters put into that. You have the Masters Olympia coming up in a few months. It's really has a span. I interviewed some couple ladies who just got their pro cards at the Masters USA's because I think there is a growing population of women of mature ages getting into bodybuilding. I mean, ladies that either get into later life because life's changed, you want to get in shape, and they just found bodybuilding. Others who competed for a long time, and finally now there. I saw a couple ladies who made a return after having competed for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And and it's good that that's the support for y'all, these opportunities for not just the men, also women. Men too are getting to it. Here we got a man, Ryan Lake. He says, "Nice, Nancy. I like your tattoo. That's
Oh.
nice. I'm not a big tattoo guy because I don't have none of them. But when did you get it?
So I actually was, right at the point that I had started this CrossFit gym, and I had been dealing with shoulder issues, and so I finally had to, bite the bullet. I had a rotator cuff tear, labrum tear, and I had to have my bicep reattached. So it was a really tough recovery. And so after that, I'm like, I'm getting a tattoo because, this is kind of like a warrior. And this was the shoulder I had surgery on. So it was just kind of like I wanted a warrior. And then further down, I have Wonder Woman. So I'm going to just get a bunch of bad bitches, to complete the whole sleeve. But I just, it was like such a tough recovery. And so it was just kind of like, I need something to kind of show, or to make myself feel like it was just like you did this, you know what I mean? Like you got through it.
Well, I tell you, I got issues with my shoulders. I don't know if I'll get a tattoo. I might get a shirt that has to buy surgery. You know, yeah, that is whatever that makes you happy, makes you feel good. Respect that. So this is a question I ask you, ladies, and it's a little personal, especially as diet's very important for y'all. Tell me, share with me, Nancy. What is that thing that you desire the most? The thing that often my other guy would say, I guess, what make you stranger, make you stronger? What does that one thing was calling your name, especially being on that prep, and you finally, especially after your last show, Tampa, made your pro debut. What did you and your honey go do afterwards?
Well, I mean, it's really like I've made the mistake of like going to the grocery store and like buying all the stuff that you haven't had since you were 5 years old, like Pop Tarts and Oreos and all this crap, and then like just like gorging afterwards, and then you're like, oh, the worst heartburn and indigestion, and I'm like, I'm never doing that again. But I do have to admit, one of my biggest craves was Cheez-Its. I don't know why, but it was just like I wanted Cheez-Its. And other than that, just like something um, really kind of like, I don't know, decadent.
Sweet.
Yeah, like cheesecake. I love that. Cheesecake Factory, it's called Adams. It's like got peanut butter, chocolate, toffee, it was just like, and as you're kind of getting ready to go on stage, it's amazing what you see people doing because they all got their own routine. And some people are eating, like a lot of sweets. Some people are eating like rice and chicken. Some people are eating rice cakes. So I'm like, I mean, if they can have that, if they can eat that, the brownies, why can't you eat the brownies, And it's like, you really have to kind of like, go with what your coach says. Every person's individual, but you're kind of like, wow, they already get to eat that. It's like it makes it even harder because you have to wait, So I would say
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the cheese that's really
Well,
what I crave.
I hope like this that some people eat sugar because they want their to be more vascular. It makes their veins pop more. We get that sugar rush in your
Yeah,
system. I heard that. Everybody have their favorites. I've had ladies told me the typical ones is like French fries and a burger, a pizza, some cake, ice cream. One lady said she ate so much ice cream she one day didn't know she puked. One that I think is kind of unusual is sushi. Now, this is one thing I'll say. I grew up a poor country boy, but I've never been so poor where I had to eat cold, raw fish. So I understand that's some people's taste, but that's not me. So, and
yeah. No, and it's
food,
funny because like people, not so much like when you're at a pro show, but like if you're at a show, in general, that, people will do the prejudging. And, like I've always had the coaches that say you go, you're still on plan, you have, your meal, a little bit of rice, chicken, whatever the case may be. You might get, a sweet, but you have people that during the prejudging and finals, they just go out and they're like, I don't care, you know, and it's just like, you know, I mean, I've always heard that it can make a difference, like the night show. They could have you placed at 4 or 3, and it could make a difference, that if you come and you're bloated and you've lost, you know, that you might not like place where you were going to place. So it's funny how, kind of sometimes people just like, I can't take it. I'm not just going to go out and eat. And it's like, you're that close. Just wait.
Well, I think something, especially when you are been under prep and you desire something, sometimes your desire outweighs your common sense. You
Yeah.
would just, especially if you go to, like, if there's a Krispy Kreme down the road and you just did prejudge and say, you know what, I'm gonna get myself two half a dozens and I'll be good. But if I think the people who
Yeah.
have the mentality and the patience and the determination and the discipline say, you know what, I need that afterwards. I can wait. Let
Yeah.
me see how I do. Because you know what, if that person made a mistake, then you know what, then that might change my position. So
Hmm.
you competed last year. What's the plan for this year?
So I had it in my mind I was going to do Chicago, but I don't know that, that's a possibility. I really, since I've just opened up this training facility not too long ago, I've just really been busy, with getting this up and running and training people. And I think I, in my brain know that I need to just keep forging forward and making improvements. And so I think, right now I'm thinking 2026. Um, and don't quote me because that could change, but at this point, it's just, um, you know how it is. I mean, like being on your feet and training people all day, and then you're like, when am I going to get, my actual workout in? Um, but I think, it's just probably a time for me to grow and you know, continue to make improvements but I'm definitely, I'm definitely focused like a laser beam. I'm not done. That's for damn sure. So
Yeah, that's damn sure. Yeah, she said, you goddamn right. But yeah, you take that time. If it's 2026, 2027, 2028, bodybuilding not going anytime soon. And you take time to grow. You got your business and help your business. Because one thing is bodybuilding is expensive, especially instead of getting
yeah,
for the women. The traveling to the shows, you do masters, which you have to pay to compete, and the cost of everything. I would say take your time, build your business, stack your chips. It's going to be here when you're ready. Because one thing I think some ladies can use is sponsorship. That helps out. Have you been a sponsored athlete before?
no, I have not.
Yeah, I would say that's just
Hey, if
something
you
that
can
we
help me, George, if you can help me, bring them on.
well, like I said, these guys, if you watch this live stream and you're interested in sponsoring an athlete, reach out with genuine interest. Don't be weird. Don't be like some guys saying, "Hey there, Nancy, you're a cute little firecracker. I seen your video, your interview you did. So if I had something with you, no, stop it, you sick freak. This is what you do." You said, Mrs. Cullery, I mean, we saw your interview recently, and you have a nice personality about yourself. You're very upright about yourself. You're sure about yourself, and you're committed to the sport of bodybuilding. We have a company, and we like to invest into athletes and help them along their way. We have a product. If it worked with your satisfaction, then we'd like you to become one of our ambassadors. But we want you to be certain that we want to see you grow. Nothing more else. Maybe help you advance your career. You help us with our product, and just let us know what you feel about it. Just come back with us with something you feel like you feel comfortable with. So, it's up to you, madam. So, will you be interested in being part of our program?
The paid infomercial there.
I have learned. I've been doing it for a while.
Or
But
unpaid.
yeah, but yeah, I think it does help out. And I think anybody who understands the cause of what it is for a woman in sport, I mean, if you just all you want to do is just help athlete on their way to make those chances, to make those advances, that's good. But instead, again, you have a business, stack your chips, make your money. Like I said, sports it's gonna be here when you're ready. I mean, there's ladies that I've seen that took 2 or 3 years off. Like I know a guy interviewed a lady who had competed for 10 years. I
Yeah.
think if anything what's important for you is to really make the improvements that you need and also make the advancements along the way.
Mhm. Well, I think that, just, being a certain age and, still, bodybuilding and, having, the ability to, continue to do that and, having, um, the bodybuilding kind of transforming. And I think, as you get older, it really does, set a role model for people because, you're even statistically more rare. When you're getting into your 40s, 50s, to be able to do this and to have, um, you know, kind of a physique that reflects the work you're putting in. And so it's almost like you become almost like a unicorn because, it's like you're how old and you look like that or still train like that. And so I think it's even more kind of extraordinary. Like when I, see people, that are in their 40s and 50s and 60s and on up that are doing it. And it's becoming like, you know, more rare. So I think that people realize that, and it becomes harder as we get older, to add muscle, to continue to train because we have other things going on internally and our joints, and we're aging. So I think it's pretty impressive when you see somebody that's getting older that can still do that. And I feel like it's, for me, it's been almost kind of like a little bit of a fountain of youth, so to speak, to be able to continue to do it.
Hmm. One thing I think, it doesn't stop for all the time. It kind of halts a little bit. It slows it
Yeah.
down. That's a good thing.
Hmm.
I turned 50 last year, and one point before I was like 500 pounds because I was taking care of my mom. I put on weight, and food is it's a comfort for, especially when you're
Yeah.
dealing with stress. But I make
Hmm.
the choice when after she passed. I said, I got to take care of myself. I haven't been consistent as some of y'all ladies are, but I do try to do smart things. I try to eat smart foods. Even though this afternoon I had barbecued, chicken strips, but it's it again. It's somebody tell me it's about balance. To enjoy, and enjoy what you
Yeah.
eat. Find the right
Yeah.
things in your process.
Hmm. Yeah. You can't just have like this austere, you have to live life. So, eating clean the majority of the time and then treating yourself. But it's also actually good because you know, you're incorporating some, junk, and that's going to make your metabolism rev up and all of those things. So you can't be so, strict. And, just like trying to starve yourself and putting yourself in an emergency state, and then you really hold on to the calories and your metabolism starts to shut down. But you just yeah, you have to live life and still enjoy it. I mean, if you feel like you're just eating blades of grass and water every day, it's
Yeah, it's not enough because you know what, water's nice, but it can be boring. You might have to flavor up a little bit, more sugar and Kool Aid. But yeah, it's a lot to this, and and like I said again, I respect y'all ladies and what y'all do, and I admire y'all. To do what y'all do, and to I know when I talk to ladies and they tell me how when they're on that stage, and what us who in the audience who see y'all on stage, we understand what it took you to get there, the being tired, being dehydrated, the training, the dieting, all that's involved in it. We see these beautiful, amazing physiques, these men and women who are bodies just another level. And I know, your son every now and then says, "That's my mom." I said, "That's your mom?" Yeah. But no, 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 no. Hey, don't say my mom, man. You like fighting, but you know what? It's good that you found something for yourself. Not everybody is going to be the Sarah Vegas or the top level competitors. One lady who I'm a fan of, and I think she's an amazing lady. She really changed, especially for a guy who's been following bodybuilding as long as I have. She's changed the sport, and that's Andrea Shaw. Ah, I'm just a fan of hers. I just, she's my girlfriend, that. But, I really, like I said, doing this content, interview ladies, talking with your ladies, earning friendships and garnering these friendships, I get to learn something. I keep learning something every single day when I get to talk to you ladies, and that's why I reach out to. So I love how Andrea one of these days I love to, but when I talk to ladies like yourself, who's been what you've been at, been what you've been through, and to be able to still have a passion for a sport where there's some things are going on, like saw that they cut some shows from here and there. They did cut Wins by from Tampa, but shout out to Jake Wood. Yo Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. He saved it, like he usually has. And opportunities are getting so far few between. But as long as you love what you're doing, you love this sport, you understand what's involved with it, the dieting, the training, the recovery, the rest, all that's involved with it. You should love you. And anybody else has a problem with it, like my man Bernie Mac says, if people don't like you, fuck them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've had, people, I try to, when I post content, I try to be positive and, you know, um, hope you're having a great day. Hope your training is going well. And, you just, it's funny because you have people that, send you messages and say, like, you're really narcissistic. And it's like, um, no, I mean, I'm trying to kind of motivate other people. I'm trying to, if she can do it, I can do it. It's never, but it's interesting, like you said, it's just you're going to always have people that, you know, turn something into a negative, but
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's haters. Let them hate to hate no more. That's what they need to do. So, folks, we appreciate the time that Nancy gave us here. I know she's a busy lady. She took time out to talk to me. I know she has clients probably waiting for her. I don't want to hold her up too much longer, but I will ask you this question: what would you want for bodybuilding for yourself as a whole? I really
Um,
hit you with hard one there.
so, I mean, I guess just to, have it continue to, you know, become mainstream or more mainstream. I think that the trend is that people are looking at, women with muscle as a positive thing and, that it is a form of, beauty, but also just the freaking appreciation of, that commitment and the hard work that went into that is pretty much like common in everything you do in your life. So what you do in the gym oftentimes, kind of spills over into your daily